Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Jeremy and JP from Nonsuch Island, Bermuda, on a breezy but beautiful March day, early March day. I believe it's March the 9th, 2022. And we're out here at the Cahowcam colony, the Translocation Colony. We're going to do things a little bit differently for this check because we've had so many chicks hatch in the last week or so. As of a few days ago, I'd already recorded 9 chicks hatching here, 3 at the B colony so far, and I think there's also 3 eggs here at the A colony that were in different stages of hatching. And you know, hatching can take anywhere from 24 hours or less up to almost 4 days, you know, whatever that is in hours. So it seems like the CahowCam 2 is in that later category. It's taken a long time. But then again, the CahowCam 1 took, you know, more than 24 hours as well. You just never know. It varies from season to season and bird to bird. So we're going to start first up the hill. We're going sort of numerically through these nests. So you'll see some of the neighbors, more or less, the neighbors' kids in the colony to the CahowCam nests. And we're going to start with 816, which has a chick that now I believe should be about a week and a half old, about 10 days or so, 9 or 10 days. Take a look, see how it goes. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be taking the chicks out, and then I'm going to be weighing them as usual, and then I'm going to be measuring their wing chord or their outer wing length, which is tiny at this point. The wing chord is, you know, only been averaging about like 25 to maybe 29 millimeters. It will grow in 3 months to about 275 millimeters. So, you know, almost a meter wingspan. And it's hard to believe it all originates from these tiny little like wing buds. You can't even count them as wings yet. They look more like flippers or pedals than anything else. They use them mainly for balance at this point. But we're going to take a look. He looks healthy. He feels moderately heavy. So it looks like he's been fed in the last couple of nights anyway. Perhaps not last night. Yeah. And the key thing with these guys I found is that if you give them regular weight checks, like at least once or twice a week, they're actually much more relaxed with it because they get used to it and they realize it's not dangerous. They're not in danger of being eaten. They're not going to be killed or anything. And so they become ridiculously blasé. They become very relaxed and start preening themselves while you're carrying this out. So they're actually more handling is a good thing up to a point. Now, yeah, this guy's definitely been fed. Has had adult feeding visits. His weight right now, the bag is 10 grams. His weight is 97, so he'll be 87 grams. I believe it was like 57 grams on my last check. So in about 4 or 5 days, you know, he's gained quite a bit of weight. All right, so let me just write that down. 87 grams. And I'm going to just measure these tiny little outer wings here. It almost looks ridiculous that they're so small, and you have to be very careful with them. Obviously, you don't want to overstretch them. They're very delicate at this point. You just gently get the chick in position, put it here. Some are more bothersome than others. Yeah, he's still a little guy. It's about 27 millimeters, so about here. 27 millimeters, and it will reach about here, 275 millimeters, by the time it is ready to fledge out to sea in about 3 months. It takes about 90 days to get there. So 27 millimeters. And you can see he's just settled down, you know, after a while. They don't particularly like the bright light, but you know, they do get very used to handling. In 1 or 2 more checks, he'll be just more curious than anything else. Still got his little tiny egg tooth too on his bill, so you can tell he's less than 2 weeks old, more or less. Usually they've lost that by 2 weeks or so. It's about, like I say, about 9 to 10 days now, this one. So yeah, okay, so we're going to put him back here. Everything looks well. Yeah, send him back in. These are one of these hybrid nests that has a plastic nest chamber. That's an Australian design that we've used, but in practice very few of the birds have ever used them. We've only ever had 2 or 3 of them used, whereas concrete nests have been snapped up as quickly as we can build them. You know, they never stay vacant for long before you know, they are occupied by somebody. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is just move around up the hill. Okay, wow, this is the oldest chick. This is from this is in the 821 nest, R821 nest. So this is the oldest chick in the colony, and this bird is about, let's see, about 19 days old. So just over 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks old. And it's also the earliest hatching Cahow chick that I've ever recorded in my time of working with the project. So he's growing. He's not as heavy as some of the younger birds, so he's being fed by the parents. I can feel that. He feels like it's been fed very recently, but perhaps not to the extent that some of them, the adults just absolutely stuff them. Okay, so this is number R823 nest. This is a new pair. This is their second egg. First egg was a small, undersized, and infertile, so we're hoping that this one will be successful. Oh, great! Okay, well, not only has the adult departed, but we have a newly hatched chick on Nonsuch. So with this chick, we break the original number of chicks ever successfully hatched on Nonsuch. The previous record last year was 13. This makes it 14, combining the 2 colonies. So this is the first time I've seen it. It's fantastic. And this is the very first chick produced by this pair, this new pair. So he's only about, at most, 3 days, 2 or 3 days old. And he feels quite light, but it's quite large already, actually, for that age. He's a very small little bumpkin. But yeah, so this nest number R823, first chick for this pair. It's another first time, you know, set of parents. There's about 3 or 4 of them on Nonsuch this year. So, but he's just a gorgeous little munchkin. All right. Hey there, little guy. Oh, he's fat. He feels like he was fed last night. He feels like a little water balloon. Yeah. So this is another really young chick. This is from the R820 nest, 820 nest. And this chick was only a day or 2 old in our last check. So right now it's about, you know, 5 or 6, 7 days old, something like that. So, and he feels very fat. He's obviously just been fed last night. He still has his egg tooth as well, so he's less than 2 weeks old. And you know, yeah, he actually almost feels the heaviest out of any of the chicks we've checked so far. So, although he's, you know, one of the younger ones. So we'll see. Okay, so we're next going to check on the R817 nest. Yep, chick looks good. Oh, here's another one that's been fed last night. His belly it feels like a water balloon at this point. That's always a sign, surefire sign they've been fed the previous night. He's really, really good weight. So, and this is what we've been seeing. We've been seeing very good regular feeding visits in the majority of chicks this year again. This is like the second year that they seem to be finding lots of food. Yeah. Yeah, this one's always... Chicks from this nest, for some reason, tend to end up being among the heaviest and most active and quickest developing chicks in the whole population. It's just, both of the parents are unusually large birds, and they just seem to do a really good job of gathering food for the chicks and taking care of it. Okay, so this is the R830 nest. This nest usually is one of the very last ones. It's always a late returning pair. It's usually one of the last chicks to hatch, but this year we're having all sorts of exciting things happen, and this chick hatched already about 5 or 6 days ago. So it's the earliest hatching from this particular nest. And the chick looks good. It's small still, obviously, less than a week old. But it's nice and fat. So that's another sign, another one that was most likely fed last night. But a tiny little bird, really only about 6 days old or so. So, not even a week. Really. I think tomorrow will be a week. So he's a little guy, but he's very fat. So I think his weight is going to be surprising. Just how heavy such a little chick can be, and of course he has his egg tooth in full evidence. Okay, so let's put you in here. Okay, so now we've gotten to our CahowCam 1 nest, R831, and the chicken here, of course, we were lucky. JP was able to get the camera up and running just before the chick hatched. The chick hatched on 10 days ago right now, so it'll be 10 days old. On its, I think the last video check, it was 72 grams, I believe. I measured it again about 2 or 3 days ago, and it was up to 102 grams. But that was after the male bird had visited it almost nightly. Now, it has not been visited by either adult for 2 nights now, so I expect to have seen it lose quite a bit of weight, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's back down around 70 to 80 grams or so, because they can lose 10 or 15 grams a night. So we'll take a look and see how it's doing. It's definitely growing though, which is good. There he is in there, looking he's definitely growing. He's a bigger guy than he was. Yeah, here we go. All right, so that's our CahowCam 1, and I guess we'll have to flip the coin again to see which of our daughters gets to name this one. I think Sophie named the one last year, Poppy, if I remember. So I think it's Elizabeth's turn this year. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's doing well. It's interesting, the egg tooth is actually coming off. It's sloughing off right now, and you don't often see it at that point. But it's still present, but it's starting to look kind of loose, where it'll literally naturally fall off the bill. Just getting a little bit of loose down off. Yeah, he looks good, and he's definitely growing. Like I was saying, he doesn't have that water balloon feel because he hasn't been fed in a couple of days now. But I would not at all, with a nice breeze like we have southwest, I would be expecting a feed and visit by one of the adults in the next night or two. Perhaps tomorrow night, perhaps tonight. We'll see. But you never know. I mean, they can go for a week or more without any visits from the parents, and they're built to do this. They're built to survive. Yeah, it's still pretty heavy, actually. I'm happy with that. It's 95, so 85 grams, yeah. So it's lost about 17 grams from my last check, but it hasn't been fed since then, too. So I think I got it at its absolute peak. Okay. Okay, so I will check its wing cord growth. Yeah, you figured out how to turn yourself around in the bag, haven't you? Yeah, they do. Some of them just get it quicker, and this seems to be one of these chicks. He's very much a go-getter. It's also making it very difficult for me to actually locate his wings. Here we go. There we go. It's still tiny. So we are 28. Okay, 28 millimeters. Okay, so yeah, all looks well. Like I was saying, it'd be nice to see a feed and visit in the next couple of nights. But he's at a good enough weight where he could go 5 or 6 nights with no problem whatsoever. He'll just be living on his fat reserves. But as they grow, the feeding visits often get heavier and heavier, so that he can, you know, gain 50% or more of his weight in one feeding visit on a night. In fact, I've known chicks that doubled their weight after one feeding visit. They went from like 102 grams to like 200 plus grams. So yeah, he looks good, and we're just gonna keep these checks going, and we'll you know, follow his growth and his development for the next 3 months. Okay, so let's get him back in. Yeah, look at those little webbed feet. Yeah, you can see the blood vessels and everything in there. Looks really good. Okay, matey. Try and do this without dislodging a rain of sand down on him. Yeah. Okay, so we're now at the CahowCam 2 nest, R832, and we know that's the one of the adults is still incubating the egg. We know that the egg has been dimpling, has been starting hatching, the early stages of hatching, for at least 2+ days now. So we're going to take a look. I'm pretty sure it is still the female bird. I haven't seen an incubation changeover. So we'll confirm it's her, weigh her, and then I'll take a look at the egg. I'll try and weigh the egg, and possibly I'll candle it if I don't see an obvious pip. If I see a hole or a pip in the eggshell, then I won't do anything else with the egg, because I don't like to disturb it any more than possible. So okay, so let's take a look. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's the female, and I could tell from her foot, her damaged foot. She has that gecko-looking foot because the webbing was split, and she lost the outer half of one of her toes about 3 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago. And she's actually raised 2 chicks successfully, even with this slight disability. But they're tough birds, and they can take it. She looks in good shape otherwise, and still feels like a good weight. She's been incubating this. Her shift has been close to a week now. So she's gonna hope for her partner to return fairly soon to take over. All right, let's take a look at her weight. Oh yeah, she's still a pretty good weight. She does by no means has to leave yet. Let's see, 337. So that'll be 327 grams. Yeah, she generally won't need to leave until she gets to below 300 grams. So she's still got easily 3 or 4 nights. So 327 grams. And of course, we know her band number is E0172. It's well known. I've known this bird since it was a chick, because I raised this chick when it was translocated in 2005. E0172, of course. And you can see that injured foot, which, you know, is missing the outer half of the toe, the outer toe, but you know, it's fine. It's healed up fully. So alrighty, so I'm just going to put her here to the side, and then I'm going to take the egg out, take a look at it. Okay, it's definitely more progress that's been made. It's hard to see, but you can see there's dimple cracks all across. They extend more than halfway around the big end of the nest, of the egg now. So let's see. Sometimes you can actually feel the chick move. It's still nice and warm. So yeah, the egg looks good. I'm going to weigh it. just to make sure. Let's see. Here we go. I will just have to weigh this bag. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. She wants to get back on that egg as quickly as possible, and I don't blame her. All right, so let's see. 60, it looks like 67. 67. All right, so 67 still looks good. So it's just, we're gonna have to be patient. That's all. I have to be very patient. I am gonna just candle it just to see the egg, see inside the egg. Yeah, it's in drawdown, and it looks like the air cell has, you know, the chick has broken through into the air cell, and that's what we should be seeing at this point. So, yep, at this point, it's just, I think we're just going to have to be patient. That's all there is to it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, really the egg still looks good. The chick is making slow progress. Certainly not, you know, as fast as perhaps we'd like to see, but he is making progress, chipping his way out. We'll just have to, you know, invite everybody to keep watching the cam, watching the progress of it, and we'll let you know how things develop. Right now, I would say we should see something in the next day or two, but it might take another 24 hours. It might take as much as 48 more hours. We'll just have to see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to return the female to the nest so she can resume incubation duties. Okay, sweetie. Okay. So here we go.